Hello, my name is Lizzie and I am a wizard, and I will be reading a fragment from Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince by J.K. Rowling. Standing against the ramparts, very white in the face, Dumbledore still showed no sign of panic or distress. He merely looked across at his disarmer and said, "Good evening, Draco." Malfoy stepped forwards, glancing around quickly to check that he and Dumbledore were alone. His eyes fell upon the second broom. "Who else is here?" A question I might ask you. Or are you acting alone? Harry saw Malfoy's pale eyes shift back to Dumbledore in the greenish glare of the mark. "No," he said. "I've got backup. There are Death Eaters here in your school tonight." "Well, well," said Dumbledore, as though Malfoy was showing him an ambitious homework project. "Very good indeed. You found a way to let them in, did you?" "Yeah," said Malfoy, who was panting. "Right under your nose, and you never realized." "Ingenious," said Dumbledore. "Yet, forgive me, where are they now? You seem unsupported." "They met some of your guard. They're having a fight down below. They won't be long. I came on ahead. I've got a job to do." "Well then, you must get on and do it, my dear boy," said Dumbledore softly. There was silence. Harry stood imprisoned within his own invisible, paralyzed body, staring at the two of them, his ears straining to hear sounds of Death Eater's distant fight, and in front of him, Draco Malfoy did nothing but stare at Albus Dumbledore, who incredibly smiled. "Draco, Draco, you are not a killer." "How do you know?" said Malfoy at once. He seemed to realize how childish the words had sounded. Harry saw him flush in the mark's greenish light. "You don't know what I'm capable of," said Malfoy more forcefully. "You don't know what I've done." "Oh, yes, I do," said Dumbledore mildly. "You almost killed Katie Bell and Ronald Weasley. You have been trying, with increasing desperation, to kill me all year. Forgive me, Draco, but they have been feeble attempts. So feeble, to be honest, that I wonder whether your heart has been really in it." "It has been in it," said Malfoy vehemently. "I've been working on it all year, and tonight—" Somewhere in the depths of the castle below, Harry heard a muffled yell. Malfoy stiffened and glanced over his shoulder. "Somebody's putting up a good fight," said Dumbledore conversationally. "But you were saying, yes, you have managed to introduce Death Eaters into my school, which, I admit, I thought impossible. How did you do it?" But Malfoy said nothing. He was still listening to whatever was happening below, and seemed almost as paralyzed as Harry was.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce myself. My name is Georgi Ryzhkov, and I'm in my first year at Volgograd Institute of Management, and I'm a major of economics, and I would like to present a poem which is called Repetition by Phil Kay. My mother taught me this trick. If you repeat something over and over again, it loses its meaning. For example, home broke, home broke, home broke, home broke, home broke, home broke, see, nothing. Our life is not the same way. You watch the sunset too often, it just becomes 6 p.m. You make the same mistake over and over, and you'll stop calling it a mistake. If you just wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, once you'll forget why. Nothing is forever, she says. My parents left each other when I was 7 years old. Before their last arguments, they sent me off to the neighbor's house, like some astronaut jettison from the shuttle. When I came back, there was no gravity at our home. I imagined it as an accident. And when I left, they whispered to each other, "I love you," so many times over, that they forgot what it meant. Family, 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 family. My mother taught me this trick. If you repeat something over and over again, it loses meaning. This became my favorite game. It's made the scene of words evaporate. Separation, 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 see, nothing. Apart, 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 see, nothing. I'm an injured handyman now. I work with the words all day. Shut up, I know the irony. When I was young, I was taught that the trick to dominate our language was breaking it down, convincing it was worthless. I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. See? Nothing. Soon, after my parents' divorce, I developed a study. Fate is a cruel and efficient tutor. There is no escaping stutter. You can feel the meaning of every word drag itself up your throat. Separation. Stutter is a cage made of mirrors. Every word you say, every just take your time, every come on kids, spirit out, is a glaring reflection of an existence that you cannot escape. Every awful moment treats always on announcement, again and again and again until you just get there, in the center of the room, as if what you had to say had no gravity at all. Death. I'm not wasteful with my words anymore. Even now, after hundreds of hours of practicing the way I stutter, I still feel the meaning at the bottom of my throat. Listen to me. I thought that even in space, you can hear the stretch of an I love you.
Hello, I'm Andreeva Ekaterina and I'm a first-year student of Volgograd Institute of Management, Russian Academy of National Economy and Public Administration under the President of Russian Federation. The Faculty of Economics. A poem by William Henry Davis. Leisure. What is this life? If full of care, we have no time to stand and stare, no time to stand beneath the boughs and stare as long as sheep or cows, no time to see when would we pass where squirrels hide their nuts in grass, no time to see at broad daylight streams full of stars like skies at night, no time to turn at beauty glance and watch her feet how they can dance, no time to wait till her mouth can and reach that smile her eyes began. A poor this life, if full of care, we have no time to stand and stare.
Today, I would like to present you an extract taken from the book The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. A merchant sent his son to learn the secret of happiness from the wisest of men. The young man wandered through the desert for 40 days until he reached a beautiful castle on top of a mountain. There lived the sage that the young man was looking for. However, instead of finding a holy man, our hero entered the room and saw a great deal of activity. Merchants coming and going, people chatting in the corners, a small orchestra playing sweet melodies, and there was a table laden with the most delectable dishes of that part of the world. The wise man talked to everybody, and the young man had to wait for 2 hours until it was time for his audience. With considerable patience, the sage listened for the reason for the boy's visit, but told him that at that time he did not have the time to explain to him the reason of their happiness. He suggested that the young man take a stroll around the palace and return to him in 2 hours' time. However, I want to ask you a favor, he added, handing the boy a teaspoon in which he poured 2 drops of oil. While you walk, carry the spoon and don't let the oil spill. The young man began to climb up and down the palace staircases, always keeping his eyes fixed on the spoon. At the end of 2 hours, he returned to the presence of the sage. "So," asked the sage, "did you see the Persian tapestries hanging in my dining room? Did you see the garden that the master of gardeners took 10 years to create? Did you see the beautiful parchments in my library? Embarrassed, the young man confessed that he had seen nothing. His only concern was not to spill the drops of oil that the wise man entrusted to him. "So, go back and see the wonders of my world," said the wise man. "You can't trust a man if you don't know his house." "Now, more at ease." The young man took the spoon and strolled again through the palace, this time paying attention to all the works of art hanging from ceiling and walls. He saw the gardens, the mountains all around the palace, the delicacy of flowers, the taste with which each work of art had been placed in its niche. Returning to Sage, he reported in detail all that he had seen. "But where are the 2 drops of oil that I entrusted to you?" asked the sage. Looking down at the spoon, the young man realized that he had spilled the oil. "Well, that is the only advice I have to give you," said the sage of sages. "The secret of happiness lies in looking at all the wonders of the world, while never forgetting about the 2 drops of oil in the spoon."
She Walks in Beauty by Lord Byron.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. May I introduce myself? My name is Ksenia Echina and I'm a first-year student of the Economic Department at Volgograd Institute of Management. And today I would like to present a poem, The Road Not Taken, by Robert Lee Frost. So I start. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I couldn't travel both and be one traveler. Alone I stood, and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth, but then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim because it was grass and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads into way I doubted, if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Thank you for your attention.
If You Forget Me by Pablo Neruda. If you forget me, I want you to know one thing. You know how this is. If I look at the crystal moon, at the red branches slow autumn at my window, if I touch near the fire the impalpable ash, or the wrinkled body of the log, everything carries me to you. As if everything that exists, aromas, light, metals, were little boats that sail toward those cells of yours that wait for me. Well, now, if little by little you stop loving me, I shall stop loving you. Little by little. If suddenly you forget me, do not look for me, for I've already forgotten you. If you think it long and mad, the wind of banner that passes through my life, and you decide to leave me at the shore of the heart where I have roots, remember that on that day, at that hour, I shall lift my arms and my roots will set off.
Load up on guns and bring your friends. It's fun to lose and to pretend she's overboard and self-assured. Oh no, I know, one dirty world. stay warm. I will breast and form this gift and heal the blessed. Our little group has always been and always will until the end. The fact is I can't fool you, any one of you. I simply isn't fair to you or me. The worst crime I can think I will be to rip people off by faking. Sometimes I feel as that I should have a punching time clock before I walk out on stage. I've tried even within my power to appreciate it, and I do, God believe me, I do, but it's not enough.
I am the people, the mob by Carl Sandburg. I am the people, the mob, the crowd, the mass. Do you know that all the great works of the world is done through me? I am the workman, the inventor, the maker of the world's food and clothes. I am the audience that witnesses history. The Napoleons come from me, and the Lincolns, they die, and then I send forth more Napoleons and Lincolns. I am a seed crowned. I'm a prairie that will stand for much plowing terrible storms pass over me. I forgive. The best of me is sucked out and wasted. I forget. Everything but that comes to me makes me work and give up what I have, and I forget. Sometimes I cry, shake myself and spit a few red drops for history to remember. When I, the people, learn to remember. When I, the people, use the lessons of yesterday.
I'm Artem Gusev from Lyceum number 1, and this is my video. I ponder of something great. My lungs are filled and then deflate, they fill with fire, exhale desire. I know it's there, my time today. I have the thought so often I had to replace this lot with what I once bought. Cause somebody stole my car radio and I'll just sit in silence. Sometimes, while it's violent, I find it hard to credit my pride. It's no longer inside, it's on my sleeve. My skin will scream, reminding me of who I killed inside my dream. I hate these cars that I'm driving, there's no hiding from me. I'm forced to deal with what I feel. There is no distraction to mask what is real. I could pull the steering wheel. I wonder of something terrifying, cause this time there's no sound to hide behind. I find over the course of human existence, the one thing consists of consistence, and it's that we're all battling fear. Oh dear, I don't know if we know we were here. Oh my, it's so deeply stop thinking. I liked it better when my car had sound. I have the thought so often I had to replace its slot with what I once bought. Cause somebody stole my car radio and I'll just sit in silence.
If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tied by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies or being hated. Don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream, and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster, and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to, broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings, and risk it all one turn of pitch and toss, and lose, and start again with your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can